Hello everyone and welcome to a little Minecraft story time. I am a bit under the weather right now, so sorry if I sound a little weird. But anyways, I'm going to be telling you about the time I broke my leg. Now, this happened in about 7th grade around Christmas time, just before Christmas break. And my class, the 7th grade class, was going on a field trip to this one ice skating rink. Now, I'm no professional ice skater, and I doubt anyone else was in my class, but I didn't think much about it. I thought I was gonna go to this ice skating rink, maybe fall on my face a couple times and go home. But that was not the case. With 2 minutes left before we had to leave, I wanted to get a head start. And I had gotten okay at skating at this point. We had been there for 3 hours and my ankles had been dying. But anyways, I go to turn around, and you know how on an ice skating rink there are grooves in the ice from everyone skating? Well, as I turned around, I see this little girl on the wall. So I kind of slowed down and let her use the wall. But little did I know that my foot had gotten caught on one of those grooves. So it kind of threw me off and I fell. Now, for this part, you might want to put whatever food you're eating right now down, because as my body went one way, my foot stayed in place, and my leg completely snapped. At first, I didn't really feel anything, but as I go to stand up, I realize, wow, this really hurts. So I tell my friend to go get the teacher. Then the teacher comes over and is freaking out, asking me a bunch of questions, but I'm not really paying attention until this one guy just skates over very nonchalantly, so I assume it's just some guy checking out the situation. But no, it's a worker, and he's like, "Yo, bro, can you stand up?" And I say, no. So my teacher and this guy pick me up and kind of push me along to the door where I sit on the bench. And as they start scrambling to figure out what to do, I notice that there's this one guy in the doorway, and he is just genuinely tweaking. I know that's kind of off topic, but I just wanted to mention it. I also don't want to make fun of this guy too much because there was something wrong with him mentally. So, back on topic now. Eventually, they take everything off my leg and move me to the lobby. And as I'm sitting there, I realize that every time I move my hand a little bit, I hear this clicking sound. Now, at this point, I didn't really think that I had broke something, but when I heard that clicking sound, I was like, ooh, this is not good. The teachers had contemplated calling an ambulance for me, and I was like, what? An ambulance? It cannot be that serious. So I just told them to call my mom, and luckily my 2 sisters were nearby, so they came. My sister's boyfriend and one of my friend's dad picked me up and carried me out to the car. Now, once I got to the car, I had to lay out in the back because I couldn't really move my leg. It hurt really bad. I couldn't straighten it out. So I sat in the I laid out in the back, and by this point I was like, okay, yeah, something's definitely broken. So later on, we're sitting in the parking lot waiting for my mom to show up. My mom eventually shows up, and I get into her car, and we go to the local children's hospital. Now, I obviously couldn't get out of the car, so I'm waiting in the car as my mom gets one of the hospital wheelchairs, and in my mind, I thought I was gonna roll in. It was gonna be a scene from one of those Grey's Anatomy or something. There's gonna be doctors running all around me. No one really cared. And I mean, I guess I'm not trying to sound selfish, but it was just a little weird. Now, eventually we get checked in and all that stuff. After 2 hours, I'd just been sitting there in agonizing pain. It took forever. But eventually, we do end up going to a doctor's room. And side note, as we're, going to this, room, we're going through this, really narrow doorway. and my leg is kind of like propped up on this thing that's like attached to the wheelchairs because it like hurts to bend. But my mom, I love her, but she like slammed it into like the part that like sticks out into the door. Now it didn't really hit my leg or anything, but my leg ended up like falling off the thing, and it like hurt more than anything. Like it hurt more than getting kicked in the balls. Which I know is something crazy to say because all men know nothing hurts more than getting kicked in the balls, but that just shows like how bad that hurt. So cut to me like sitting in the doctor's room, and they're like saying, oh, you're gonna have to get x-rays and like all that. And by this point I was like horrified because they were talking about that like I was gonna need surgery. So they had to get like x-rays to see like if like first off if the thing was broken and like how bad it was broken, because like the way I was like describing the pain, the lady was just looking at me like I was describing murder, and she was talking about how I was gonna have to get surgery. So it was just all like super scary. And then eventually the x-ray lady comes in. I'm like praying that it's not like super broken, because it was obviously broken, but like I just like hoped it wasn't that bad. And she was asking me to straighten out my leg for the x-ray, and I couldn't straighten out my leg. So she's like, all right, let's just try straightening it out ourselves. So she just yanks on my leg, which probably made it worse now that I'm thinking about it. And so my mom is like, can't you just turn the x-ray thing? And she was like, oh, yeah, I could just do that. And I was like, what? We could have just done that all along? And eventually we get the x-rays. We didn't get like anything back right away, so we like sat there for like another like 4 hours just in that room by ourselves. And eventually they come back and they're like, you fractured your tibia, which I didn't even know was a thing until then. It was like a spiral fracture, so like whatever that is. But they were saying it was pretty bad. And not gonna lie, I was looking at this x-ray and I was like, it looks pretty normal to me. I don't really see anything. So I obviously like had to get a cast and all that stuff. Like a full leg cast, so like from my hip to like my toes. This guy comes in and is like, all right, let's do this. And obviously I couldn't straighten out my leg, but they couldn't just like wrap my leg like that. So they gave me like this painkiller, and it's a little thing called fentanyl. They gave me fentanyl as like a painkiller, and it worked. I didn't like, my leg and like everything in my body just kind of went numb. And they wrapped it not very well, and we just went home. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We went home. I had to go in again the next day to get it like rewrapped with like a harder cast, with like a waterproof cast. And to show you how bad this all was, I broke my leg in like December 2023 and wasn't cleared until May 2024. I could not walk for almost over half of 2024. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't do drugs.